A reading from the Gospel according to Matthew. During the reign of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, astrologers from the east arrived in Jerusalem asking, "Where is the newborn ruler of the Jews? We observed his star at its rising and have come to pay homage." At this news, King Herod became greatly disturbed, and with him all Jerusalem. Summoning all of the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. "In Bethlehem of Judea," they replied. "Here is what the prophet Micah has written. And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Herod called the astrologers aside and found out from them the exact time of the star's appearance. Then he sent them to Bethlehem with these instructions: "Continue your search and get detailed information about the child. Report to me when you have found him, so that I may go and offer homage too." After their audience with the king, the astrologers set out. The star which they had observed at its rising went ahead of them until it stood still over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On entering the house, they found the child with Mary, his mother. They knelt down and did him homage. Then they opened their coffers and presented gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. They received a message in a dream not to return to Herod, so they went home by a different route. The good news of our salvation as spoken through Matthew. Good morning, Spirit friends.
Good morning.
It is good to be with you. My name is Mary Maher, and I was surprised to be invited to break open the Word today. But I said yes, because part of my journey this year included reviewing Henry Brommelkamp's past homilies with him during my visits with him. And one of them was his Epiphany homily of 13 years ago. Henry spoke to you of the qualities of the Magi, adoration, and revelation. I want to share some ideas I have about the nature of the journeys presented in these readings. As Christmas ends and the new year begins, I invite you to share with me a short reflection time on how these stories might inspire us in our own travels, from darkness to light, and from revelations that gift us with new understanding, to the detours sometimes needed to find our way home. In the first reading, I hear Isaiah acting as God's cheerleader for the people of Judah. The backstory, as I understand it, is that these people were in despair when, after years of exile, they journeyed home, arriving exhausted and poor to a city in ruins. Isaiah acknowledged the darkness of the moment and of the clouds hanging all over the world, but called on them to rise up. Your light has come. Raise your eyes and look about. God's glory is shining on you. And if that wasn't enough inspiration, and sometimes in times of despair, that might not be enough, he also foretells that they shall receive gifts and riches both from nature and from faraway peoples who will journey towards their light. So Isaiah brings good news, promises gifts, and calls for action. He helps them find hope in times of despair. And my question is, what or who helps us remember to reflect hope to each other instead of despair? I try to look for the light of kindness in people's eyes and think of that as a spark to cheer me on my journey, to get me going. And I try to say yes to that light. But instead of Isaiah, I often think of more modern poets or songwriters with similar calls for action. The songwriter Jewel, who wrote, "I won't be idle with despair. I'll gather myself around my faith, for light does the darkness most fear. We are God's eyes, God's hands. We are reflections of God." Or as Springsteen wrote, "Come on, rise up. Come on, rise up. And with these hands, we will pray for the strength, the faith, and the love of the Lord." The next journey is one of attention and devotion, not despair. It is Matthew's story of Gentiles called Magi, or astrologers. These students of the sky looked up and paid attention when they noticed a brilliant star rising in the west. They remembered the prophecies they'd heard from Jewish visitors to their land and realized that this just might be the sign of a new king's birth. And off they set, full of curiosity, wonder, and determination to find out. Those are some of the same qualities Pope Francis calls us to learn from this story. The Magi carried with them gifts that fulfilled Isaiah's prophecy and acknowledged the Messiah's destiny: gold for a king, frankincense for a priest, and myrrh to assuage suffering. After a fateful stop for more information, they were able to find the town of Bethlehem, where the star stood still. And there they were overjoyed to witness an epiphany. The face of God made manifest in this beautiful child lying in such mean estate. Can you imagine their joy and awe after such a long journey? Along with the babe's parents, and with the shepherds called by angels, the Magi were the only human witnesses to this divine truth. They knelt with humility and offered their gifts. These observant Gentiles paid attention to the star and to the message in their dream to go home another way. I hear the essence of their journey in Mary Oliver's words. Attention is the beginning of devotion. And so I ask, how do we pay attention to signs of God's presence among us? For me, I usually keep pretty busy, and it's a matter of intentionally devoting time to observe and making an effort to understand. This might mean time to reflect, or maybe to dedicate myself to learning something new, or simply be still and watch the sunset and the stars reveal themselves. Speaking of a revelation, Paul reveals to the early Christians that all people are chosen. He basically says, this is how I hear his reading, okay, you didn't know this before, but I am here to make it clear. You should know it now. There is to be a shared partnership, a shared inheritance in the stewardship of God's gifts and the promise of Christ's birth. And you must live this and teach this. All the ends of the earth will be drawn to the light. All are welcome. Here at Spirit, we believe all are welcome. In my neighborhood, we try to welcome newcomers. Yet I always wonder here and in my neighborhood if we could find additional ways to make newcomers feel welcome. Here, perhaps, more deliberate invitations to comment after homily or to share time during prayers of the people. I wonder if for some people it might be more welcoming to raise their hand instead of their voice as a way of introduction. And I always wonder, who else can we invite to join us? Finally, Pope Francis's words, while referring to lessons from the Magi, I believe describe journeys that are both inward and outward, journeys of reflection and action. I think he intends to imply that one enriches the other. We are to scrutinize passionately and be of service. As we conclude the season of waiting and incarnation, I believe we are called to pay attention, reflect in stillness, pray humbly, and take action as we continue our journey. We certainly all travel different routes home. Let us pray that wherever we go, our little lights will shine with kindness, wonder, and hope.